Hey, is it cheaper to build a home in Idaho or buy an existing home in Idaho? We're going to address that in this video.
So Greg, would you rather build a home in Idaho or would you rather buy an existing home?
Knowing what I know now, I think I'd just buy existing. I mean, it's tempting because you have all this open land in Idaho. I mean, all over Idaho. And now when we're making this video, we're thinking Boise area because that's where we're at. But if you think beyond the Boise area, you think up in the mountains or you think eastern Idaho, there is so much land available, but it just comes down to cost. I mean, part of me does want to build just so I can lay out my compound of what I want, but part of me is just like, that's going to be expensive right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. How about you?
I think overall, I would just choose an existing home.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the idea of like really building that dream home, building it how you want it. But also, I don't really like that idea because that's too many options.
No,
That's too hard.
yeah,
Too many decisions.
So many decisions, and that's what I think people get hung up on is the price, and then, gosh, thinking of every single detail. We know so many people who have built and gone through that process,
Yeah.
and they're like, I don't ever want to do that ever again in my entire life.
Yeah.
So I don't blame them. But let's talk in this video, let's talk a little bit about the cost of buying an existing home versus building. Maybe that might help you gauge whether or not that's going to be a good fit for you when you're looking at making a move to Idaho. So buying and building, that's going to be, in my opinion, and financially, I think the most expensive way to go in today's market. If you already own the land here in Idaho and you've owned it for a little while and then you're going to build on it, great. But if you're thinking, hey, today I want to go to Idaho, buy some land and build, your price per square foot is going to be anywhere from $200 all the way up to $800 per square foot, depending on how you design it, what you put in it, all the amenities you add to it, and all of that. So right now, to buy land and to build, it's going to be very expensive for you to do that. Now, here at the Go Idaho team, we do have clients who still want to do that. They said, hey, Greg, I'm maybe 2 years out, so I'd like to secure the land right now, then maybe think about building and going down that road. That is a great play. Buy the land today, hold it for a while, or until you're ready to make the move. Maybe you have kids that you're still trying to get out of school. Maybe you still have retirement to hit. So you do have some options that way if you do and are committed to building. If you are committed to building, reach out to us. We have builders, custom builders who will work with you. We have designers. We have people who will lay out everything for you to give you a good floor plan, to help you pick colors and all of that. So whatever you need, wherever it is in the state of Idaho, the Go Idaho team can help you, give you resources to make sure that you get the land that you're looking for, and also some contacts to help you start that process. Okay, so there are many different layers of building in Idaho. We're going to kind of discuss going from probably the most raw to maybe the most common type of building and buying that we see here in Idaho. So before we jump into pricing, and we'll get that to the end of the video, let's talk about each of these different layers because they are so vastly different and the cost could vary so much.
Let's talk about the raw land. So with raw land, you have a lot, you see 10 acres that you want to buy for $500,000 or whatever the price might be. But it might not have all the utilities you need. It might not have the power, the water, it might not have the gas, so you have to keep that in consideration as well, as that will be an extra cost for those things. Let's take, for example, the undeveloped land.
Yeah.
So you see an amazing lot, it's got views or it's on the river or whatever. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that you're considering that, bringing in the utilities such as like power, gas, water, that could become costly.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they kind of forget that part until you start breaking it down because it just adds up so fast. All right. The other type of building is partially developed lots. And we see that a lot kind of outside the Boise area where someone has started the process. Maybe they got their plans submitted and approved to do 10 lots. And so you can buy one of those lots. And what's nice about that is sometimes the utilities are already ran to the street and you just have to put them in the lot. And so that's a really good option. You do have that option to bring your builder as well. So that can help with overall cost savings if you aren't doing what Wendy mentioned, doing the raw land. So semi-developed, you can find that here pretty easily, I'd say, in all of Idaho. Mm-hmm. Probably more so easy than the raw.
So you can have a fully customizable home with any builder you want. So that's a great option. But you don't have to worry about bringing in all those utilities. They've developed the land for you.
Yeah, and we do get a lot of questions that come up our way. They say, hey, do you guys have a builder that you could recommend? Do you guys know people who could kind of start that process? And we absolutely do here at Go Idaho. So if you're thinking, gosh, I kind of like one of those options, don't hesitate to reach out to us so we can put you in touch with the right builders and maybe get you some of that land as well.
Yeah, and even if you're building in that way, if you go that direction, we always recommend, we might be biased, but we do recommend having an agent because we've got your back. I have talked to people who have built directly with a builder, and they actually regret not having a real estate agent only because they didn't feel like that seller or that builder really fully had their back. They kind of had more of their interest at heart. And so we will always have your back and we'll be able to help you through that process to make it more smooth.
Well, and definitely when it comes to purchasing the land too, whether it's raw land or partially developed, it's easy for us to get that entitlement information, the CC&Rs if there are any, get some title work over to you. So that's really the benefit too of using a realtor on top of just helping you get that land. It just smooths out that process and takes a lot of the headache out of the way.
Okay, so then there's that developed land where one builder has bought up the land, they've developed it, they're creating sidewalks and all those things for you, and then you are required to use them to build the home. And a lot of times some builders here that do that, you can customize those homes. You have to choose from a floor plan, like an existing floor plan, and they might have some options to change it, but you'll have the option to pick your finishes that you want and things like that. So that would be more of a semi-customizable home.
Yeah, and those are readily available on the go. I mean, so many builders are coming here doing just that. And like Wendy said, it's, just use their builder. And, we're seeing right now, I saw on a thread that someone went into a builder here and sat down. They didn't have representation. They went through the contract and the sales agent for the builder didn't disclose the final price after they went through their budget and everything. And it turned into a nightmare. They ended up not building. But that's one thing, again, I know we're sounding like a broken record, but that's one thing a realtor like us can do for you is to make sure that, hey, are we in your budget? What's the price? It's that check and balance so that you're not having that nightmare situation and your dream of building just go out the door and have a bad taste in your mouth, and all of the whole process of moving here to Idaho just kind of goes wah wah. So the last option to build is to buy a spec home or an existing home that is already pre-built. So the difference on a spec and kind of what Wendy was saying is a spec home, the builder has already built it based off the floor plan that they've chosen for the lot. You didn't have an input on that. So we do have those available as well. Sometimes those homes are homes that buyers had purchased and for whatever reason, a job transfer didn't go through, they got cold feet. They backed out of the contract, and so the home that they were going to move into is existing, but it's never been lived in. So that is another option.
And with a spec home, you don't get to choose the finishes. So even if, let's say it's still 3 months out from being finished, the designers have already chosen the finishes. So most of the time, they won't let you go in and make any changes once it's in. Once in a while, you'll find a builder that will, but most of them, for those spec homes, you don't choose any of the finishes.
So building in Idaho, it all just depends on your timing. If you're a couple years out, but you want to secure the land today, you can do that. You can buy some semi-developed land. You can buy some undeveloped land and hold that. If your timing is more like, hey, I've got 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, well, we can start that process today. You can just put your earnest money down. They'll build the house, and in 9 months from now or 8 months from now, your house will be ready to move into. So it all depends on timing and also the incentives that some builders offer. So if you're ready to go now, you might be able to lock in $20,000, $25,000 incentive that would cover your blinds, the refrigerator, washer and dryer, landscaping, fencing, all that stuff. So that's an additional cost that is taken off your plate if you're able to act sooner than later.
Mm-hmm. When you build, you just have to be aware that most builders, they don't want to change their pricing. They're pretty set on their pricing, but they will offer those concessions so that they can keep their pricing where it is. So when it comes to, it actually depends on the phase of the development. So if they're at the beginning of a phase of their developing, they're not going to lower their prices because it'll affect all the appraisals and it'll affect all the pricing of the homes in the next year or two that they're going to build. Okay, so what do you think that the average price per square foot would be to get into a neighborhood to build it?
So I'd say in the Boise area, you're going to be spending about $230 a square foot up to just under $300 a square foot, depending on the builder, depending on the floor plan, all the upgrades. That will vary just depending on that. But to go along with your pricing and flexibility, you're right. You're absolutely right. If you go with the builder, that pricing is not that flexible at all. But if you're going to go with a semi-developed lot, where you want to bring your own builder, that's where you can get that flexible pricing because that's going to depend on how big or how small you want to go. Maybe you want a smaller footprint and you're more into the lot itself and the landscaping. Maybe you want a larger home, but not so much high-end finishes. So that's where you can really start playing around with pricing and budget. And that's where one of our builders will really help you kind of nail that down.
Yeah, so building a home, that's exciting. It's new and shiny and lovely, but there's also some really, really amazing pre-existing homes as well. There's a lot of great things about a pre-existing home as well. You can have mature trees. A lot of people don't love the new home just because it's really, you just have little trees. There's not a lot of shade. It takes a while to get to that point where it's that beautiful as far as like the community goes. So also like with pre-existing homes, you can get homes in areas that you can't get where the new areas are, where they're building. So you can get beautiful view lots, can back up to the foothills. Also, a lot of people like to have that character in a home where it might be a little bit older, but it's got a lot of character and you can really make it what you want it to be.
So to build in Idaho, you're going to be spending anywhere from $200 a square foot all the way up to $800 a square foot. And that's for the whole kit and caboodle. If you're buying an existing home in the Boise area, you're going to plan on spending around $250 a square foot. Just depends on area. That's going to go up and down based off location, but that should give you some ideas and some numbers to run with. And we're always happy to double check, or maybe if there's a property that you're looking at, just shoot it by us and we'll tell you exactly what it's going to run. Hey, if building is your cup of tea, we want to pour it for you. So reach out to the Go Idaho team, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. We want to help you find your next home.